So let us continue to the last, thankfully, level of the poetry. And the rhythmic acoustic, the lyrical, the sound aspect of poetry. Now, the idea of a good poetry is that content and sound should harmonize and form a unity. The sound must seem like an echo to the sense. It relates back to the poetry as charms, as a spell, as a magical spell. It should compel you in the sound level. Even when you hear it, it sounds pleasing, or it has effect on you when it is read aloud. Hmm. Now there is an explanation for this in this particular piece of poetry. You can see this in the book. Yeah, the true ease in writing comes from art, not chance, as those move easiest who have learned to dance. 'Tis not enough, no harshness give offence. The sound must seem an echo to the sense. Soft is the strain when zephyr gently blows. So you see it's rhythmical. Yeah, you can see the last part of this is actually rhythmical. They're the same. Chance, dance, offense, sense, blows, flows, shore, roar. So this is the what do you call it? The poem explanation of why the rhythmic acoustic is very important. So you can read it and you can understand it more. Yeah, reading this particular piece of poetry. It has to. The true ease in writing comes from art, careful deliberation, and skill, not just chance. So it is like a dance. You have to learn, and it has to be elegant. It has to have grace. It is not enough, no harshness given offense. It is not enough for it just to be pleasing. It has also relate to your senses. Soft is the strain when zephyr gently blows. Yeah, it has to be smooth. Yeah, soft, gently blows. Yeah, and the smooth stream in smoother number flows. So he's playing with sound there. We call it alliteration. We will get to that later. The smooth S start with S. Smooth stream in smoother numbers flows. So there is a constant S letter going on there. The S sound going on there, and it makes it for a smoother numbers flows. So he's trying to give an example how what do you call that? How repetition of sounds actually pleasing to the eye and draws attention instead of, for example, an essay that is boring and droning. Smooth stream, smoother numbers flows. When the loud surges slash the sounding shore. So these two are examples of what you can do with intonation, with the correct intonation, with the correct highlights of your recitation of the poem, what kind of effect that you uh, can get when you're reading this poem. People will turn around and pay attention to what you're saying and try to think, not just the sound, but also the meaning of the words, the structure. The hoarse, rough verse should like torrent roar. So you see, there's the beauty of the rhythmic acoustic. It can give you the power of poetry in a more real way in the speech of it, so to say. And to do this, we need some sort of rules to how we construct those lines, how we construct our verses. So first of all, we work with syllables in a poem, not just words, but we divide those words into syllables. There is the stressed syllables and the unstressed syllables. So the technical term for this process of dividing the syllables into stressed and unstressed and looking at those syllables is what we call the scansion. So if you remember the stressed syllables, they work something like this. The stressed is loud and clear syllables. The unstressed is the weak and unstressed syllables. The weak and short. So stressed is loud and clear. Unstressed is weak and short. Example, the word record. Now I have to write this here so that we can all see. The word, it can be a verb and noun. The difference is in the stress. So you remember, if you learn Arabic, people always say that Arabic requires, when you pronounce some words wrong, that it can change the meaning. It is the same with English actually. For example, this word record. When you pronounce this wrong, it can change the meaning. Example, I do that. So in the first instance, this one, the stress is in this part, the second syllable. While in this word, the stress is in the whole. Let me read that sentence. I record your voice. That is the verb, record. So you see the RE is pronounced unstressed. It is pronounced weak and fast. Rec, not re. Re is the stressed form of the of this of the syllable re. That is loud and clear, but r is very weak and fast. Record. Chord is pronounced loud and clear. Chord, like C-O-R-D. You pronounce C as K in English, yeah? Ka, G, O, R, D. Chord. This is the stressed one. Record your voice. Now this one is this is actually the opposite of it. The rec, the re, the records. This is unstressed, this is stressed. So in this case, we stress the chord syllable, and it came out in this word as chord. I record. While here, if we flip that up, if we go to the opposite, the records. So this is re. Well, this is stressed is chord. Well, this is unstressed is could. The records. The records in the library is destroyed. This are destroyed. Yeah, this is agreement. Let me repeat that. I record your voice. The records in the library are destroyed. I record your voice. The records in the library are destroyed. So stressed means pronounced loud and clear. Unstressed means you pronounce it fast and weak. Yes, I hope that makes sense, because we need to understand that idea before we move on to the meter. So for the meter and rhyme, after you divide into syllables, you know which one is stressed with that sign, yeah, like this single apostrophe here, and the unstressed syllables, which is like a small u, are identified. So let's read this one. This is the u's are the unstressed, yeah. So instead of calling it loud and clear, you say it the woods. The woods is stressed, yeah. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep. So the correct pronunciation for this one is that the is unstressed into the Woods is stressed, so it's woods. R is unstressed, so it becomes r, r, very short and weak. Yeah. The woodser love. Love is stressed. Li is unstressed into l. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. So unstressed is weak, stressed is stronger. According to the sequence, the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables, the line can be divided into feet. So this makes a pattern, yeah? Unstressed and then stressed, unstressed and then stressed, unstressed and then stressed. We divide them into pairs in this case, into what makes a pattern, yeah? In this case, the pattern is in pairs, in twos. There's the unstressed and then stressed, unstressed and then stressed, unstressed and then stressed, unstressed and then stressed. We divide them into feet. This is 1 feet. No, this is the feet, yeah? When we divide them, we call them feet. The woods, this is 1 feet. This is the first, yeah? Not 1 feet, but the first. The woods are love. This is the second pattern of stressed, unstressed. So feet is the pattern of stressed and unstressed. According to the pattern of each feet, yeah, we have several types. You know, the iambus, which is the unstressed, followed by a stressed syllable. The curfew tolls the knell of parting way. The curfew, yeah, that is stressed, unstressed. So it makes this kind of pattern, yeah, unstressed and then stressed. We call that the iambus or iambic. The anapest is the unstressed, unstressed, and then stressed. 2 unstressed syllables followed by 1 stressed syllable. And the sheen. So you don't pronounce this. If you pronounce it correctly, you don't pronounce this and the sheen. You're putting the stress wrong because you want to focus on the sheen. So you don't give a sorry, you don't give the stress to all the words, but just sheen because that's the focus of it. Remember when I talked about how to pronounce the poetry? You have to understand the meaning of it. You have to understand the meter. This is the pattern, the supposed pattern, and you have to understand what the poem is trying to say, basically, and then you pronounce it in the correct way. So this is the example of it. You don't just say and the sheen, but you have to say it and the sheen. So and the is fast, and the sheen is pronounced full. And the sheen of the spears was like stars on the sea. So the last words must be pronounced very clearly. This is the anapest or anapestic, unstressed, unstressed, and then stressed. The trochee or trochaic, a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. There they are, my 50 men and women. So of course you cannot change the stress patterns of certain words. For example, record and record. You cannot just change this word's stress pattern to fit your poetry. No, no. You have to choose your words carefully. Some words are stressed in the beginning, in the first syllable. Some words are stressed in the second or the third syllable, or in the middle. So you have to choose your words not only based on the meaning, but based on the sense how they are pronounced. Yeah. So the dactyl or dactylic foot is stressed and 2 unstressed. Yeah. Just for a handful of silver he left us. Yes. So according to the number of feet, it is possible to distinguish a manometer, dimeter, trimeter, tetrameter, pentameter, and hexameter. So how many patterns are repeated? So the woods are lovely, dark and deep. So the pattern is repeated 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times. We know those from the red part of it. This is they don't usually write it in red, but I put it in red just so that you can see it clearly, yeah? The pattern is unstressed and stressed, which is the iambus, unstressed and stressed. And it is repeated 4 times. No, I wrote it wrong. This is 3. I should write it 4, yeah? The tetrameter is 4. Sorry, this is wrong. 4 feet. 4 parts of it, yeah? So we call that a tetrameter, 4. And the name of the meter then is iambic tetrameter. This is the name of the meter. This is to let people understand, for example, you write a poem, you have a very beautiful poem, and you have arranged the pronunciation very carefully for people to follow. So you should say that it is, for example, iambic tetrameter, so people can pronounce it correctly, and then they know where the focus are. Very similar to Arabic, especially when you read the holy book, that certain stress have to be in certain places and you cannot change it because it will change the meaning. Let me give you an example. Let's have a very simple sentence, yeah? This is an example sentence. I want you to go home. Now, if we put the stress in different words, it will mean different. For example, I. Let's put the stress on the word I in the beginning. I want you to go home. So the I is pronounced loud and clear. Want you to go home is pronounced weaker and faster. I want you to go home. You got the meaning that perhaps the context is that I need to say, when I say that word I want you to go home, that the focus is that it is me. It is the teacher who tells you to go home. Now let's put the focus on a different place instead. Let's put it on the last word, home. I want you to go home. So the first parts of the sentence is unstressed, yeah? The last word, which is home, is stressed. So the first parts are pronounced weaker and faster, and while the last word is pronounced louder and clearer. I want you to go home. So the idea here that you get that the focus is for you, perhaps I want you, while saying that, I want you to go home, not to the mall, not to the station, not to the classroom. I want you to go home. So that's how focus works. So when you write a poem and you have set all this focus based on, iambic tetrameter, you want to write it down. This is iambic tetrameter, for example. You don't always have to write it down. Yeah, you can use certain forms of poetry that directly tells the reader that, this is iambic pentameter when I write this sonnet, this Shakespearean sonnet. So that's why people say that this form is blank verse, which is iambic pentameter, which uses unstressed and then stressed pattern, and there is 6 feet. The feet is 6. There is 6 feet in one line. That is a blank verse. This is different from free poems, yeah, or free verse. This is blank verse. So make a distinction. Alexandrine means iambic hexameter. There's the pattern is unstressed and then stressed, and there are 6 feet to it. We call that iambic, unstressed, stressed, hexameter, 6 feet.